All right, so back here with a rankings episode where I'm ranking the 9 quarterbacks that are the most intriguing. So what I mean by that is if you were a first-round pick this year, first, second, or third-round pick this year, or if you're Jordan Love, because he's essentially a rookie. We haven't seen him play before this preseason, and I'm just ranking how you played throughout the course of the preseason. So it's not just a week by week, it's the whole preseason, and so let's just get into it, and we'll start off with number 9. Number 9, Davis Mills. So just so you know what you're looking at in terms of the numbers, so obviously the 9 that's where he ranked, and then over to the right, the 45.5, that is his Pro Football Focus grade. Also, I should mention, if there is an asterisk next to the grade, that is because I have not yet gotten the last game added to that data yet. So just so you know what that is. And then the -3, that means that he dropped 3 spots in the rankings from last week. It wasn't a great performance. And, I made a video I'm not sure if I posted it yet, talking about the positives that were there, but as a whole, there were a lot of negatives. He's been very inconsistent. I can't get too high on him because, again, there were some issues. Number 8, Kyle Trask. Again, I would love to put him at number 1, right? I'm a Buccaneers fan. There were still some issues. I think that the box score stats were not as good as you would think. Again, the Pro Football Focus grade backs that up of a sub 60, which is not good. You do not want to be sub 60. You really don't want to be sub 70 isn't great either, to be honest. You'd like to be above that 70 mark, just in case you never look at Pro Football Focus grades. I know a lot of Buccaneers fans are excited about Trask because he did have a good statistical day, but it was a lot of the Texans being bad, quite frankly. It wasn't a lot of the Buccaneers being good. And listen, I get a little bit frustrated sometimes when people in the comments or on Twitter will just give me these awful arguments in return. And I'm not saying that if you liked what you saw from Kyle Trask, fine, we can disagree. I think that debating and arguing about it is good. But it's I've watched every snap from Kyle Trask in his collegiate career, and then in the preseason, I've spent a lot of time learning basically what makes a good NFL quarterback from a college quarterback. I've spent a lot of time and effort into this, and then when someone says, yeah, but he was 12 for 14, idiot, I'm just okay, that's not, I just, it gets frustrating. And again, I'm not saying that's everybody who likes Trask, but I made a whole video talking about that as well. That's why I have him at 8. It wasn't horrible. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but not what I would have. The issues I had with him in college, I haven't seen any reason to think that they aren't issues going into the NFL. Number 7, we have Jordan Love, who dropped a ton. He was number 2 last week, and granted, he didn't play last week, so it was all about his first performance, which I thought he was good. This time, he drops all the way down to 7, and there's reasons for this. I think the biggest reason was just the inconsistencies with Love, right? You see the positives, you see what's great, but then he just makes some dumb decisions. And that's what he did in college. And so again, I look at this as, it's almost like, I think a good way to view preseason is sort of, if you've known someone for a couple years, let's say you used to work with someone, you get a new job, and then you're in the hiring process, you hire people, and then you have an interview with that former coworker. It's the preseason is the interview, right? Where you're not going to really learn that much, but you might learn a new nugget or two and use that to make your decision, right? That's kind of how I view the preseason. And for Love, basically, it was an interview, and I'm okay, yeah, you're Jordan Love, quite frankly. Number 6, Trey Lance. I thought Lance had his best performance, and to me, Lance's running ability can be really fascinating, and that's something that I could really see. I kind of think that, especially early on in his career, that might have to be an aspect of his game, because there still were some issues in the first 2 games, which is why he fell to where he did. You see the Pro Football Focus grade is, again, not factoring in the 3rd game, which I imagine will be higher, but it's the 2nd worst out of anybody on this list. However, I do feel as a whole, I thought he played, well that 3rd game, and the issues I've talked about in games 1 and 2. So it's nice to see him sort of improve, I feel like. Number 5, Kellen Mond. I also thought we saw some significant improvements with Mond. I thought that, really after he had an interception, it was a bit of a high throw and it resulted in an interception. It wasn't a horrible play. And since then, he was just locked in and he looked as good as any quarterback has looked from that point on in this preseason. So it's one stretch, basically a half of football, but that was really good in my opinion. And I thought that his issues, quote unquote, in the second game were overblown. So again, he's not as high as the top 4, but I do have him ahead of Lance, which you could flip Lance and Mond. Honestly, I wouldn't hate that, but I do have Mond right here at 5. He jumped up a couple spots along with Lance. Number 4, I have Trevor Lawrence, who some people might have higher. He had probably I would say he had the best game out of any of these quarterbacks in that third preseason game, but that doesn't mean we can ignore the first 2 preseason games, in my opinion. I think that there were some issues, not like crazy issues, but it wasn't perfect. I thought that he was great in that third game. It was Dallas, so how much do we want to really give him credit for? But again, he's a generational prospect. He is, again, like the interview thing. He walked into the interview and he was Trevor Lawrence, I thought. So he already had high expectations going in. It was going to be hard for him to achieve those, to go up on those expectations. So he is here at 4 for me. Number 3, Justin Fields. I mean, it's hard to feel. He does jump up a spot. That's just because of the Jordan Love, falling. I feel nothing about Justin Fields from his third preseason performance. That meant basically nothing to me, except for that one cool throw. That throw was cool. Other than that, the Bears are just borderline unwatchable. I mean, that was just brutal, where it took like 15 minutes of like actual game time without seeing Fields play. And I'm like, I don't care about your defense. I want to see Justin Fields. We all want to see Justin Fields. None of us want to see Andy Dalton, but we're stuck with that. Again, I thought that he was solid. I thought that he had a good preseason. That's why I have him here at 3. I don't think it was outstanding. And again, I would really only say 2 of these guys had like good preseasons, and those are number 1 and 2. But I thought that if you're going to give a third, I would give it to Fields. I would say he had a solid preseason. That's kind of where I would put it. Number 2, Mac Jones, who again, he jumped up a spot because of Jordan Love falling. I actually think that you could knock him a little bit from this third preseason game. You see his ridiculously high Pro Football Focus score, but the 92.4 will fall, I think. He had some issues with the pocket presence in that third game that he'll have to work on heading into the NFL. Holds on to the ball a little bit too long. He holds on to the ball Alabama long, which will not quite work. Again, good offensive line in New England, so that helps, but still, to me, Mac Jones should start. I've been saying that since they drafted him. I think that he should be the guy. I think that this confirmed it for me. I thought that he did a lot well. There were a few issues, but for the most part, I think the good by far and away outweighed the bad. So that's why I have him here at 2. And finally, number 1, of course, it's my guy, Zach Wilson. I mean, I've been on this guy for, that doesn't sound right. I need to, phrasing is important. I've been high on Zach Wilson. Even that's not great. I think Zach Wilson is a good player, and I think that he will do very good things with the New York Jets. And I've been saying that since before the draft, since I first watched his tape. It's incredible, and I feel like he exceeded those expectations. I thought the zip he had in those on the over the middle stuff was just fantastic. I could not be higher on Zach Wilson. I do think that he is. In this draft, there was a generational talent at quarterback, and it was Zach Wilson. And I think that this has really confirmed it. He's looked incredible. Again, it's just preseason. We'll see how he does in the games. I think that playing for the Jets, he's at a big disadvantage. But again, the Jets offense as a whole has looked better, which has been surprising to me. Corey Davis looks like he could be, a true number 1 guy, perhaps, which I kind of liked him as a number 2 guy. I had him as a Pro Bowler last year. I thought that he was really good, over 1,000 yards, but still. Zach Wilson, he's great. What more needs to be said about Wilson that it hasn't been said specifically by me? So that's my 1 through 9. Everyone, do me a favor. Let me know in the comments below why I'm an idiot. Be as rude as possible to me. Okay, no, not just kidding. But, let me know in the comments below. Let's keep the discussion going. I do like to have sort of a discussion. This isn't an end-all, be-all by any means. It's just sort of a fun exercise. At the end of the day, there's only so much we can learn from preseason. We just try to learn the nuggets we can, and really, I think it's just as much about fun than anything else. So, That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.